Okay, we're live.
All right, we're live.
That's what you think.
We're live at the experimental macadamia farm.
The experiment.
We'll cheers our coffee.
Cheerios.
We have Lorenzo, who we're gonna mic him up soon. He's the founder and owner of the farm. We'll get him on. He is a character, very intelligent guy. He figured out how to live life at its fullest while doing good things at the same time. So we're going to have him on. We're hoping maybe to even convince him to allow us to experiment with tipping the farmers in Monero, just like we're doing with the coffee. So we'll have him on in a little bit. Anybody who's watching, if you want to jump on and join the conversation, you can go to the Jitsi link. Sunita, do you want to send that out?
Yeah, I'll send that out now.
Today
and can
we don't
you guys
have any.
Hear us? And first and foremost.
Yeah, can people hear us?
And see
Please
us?
message us. Let us know if you could hear us well.
Everything's all cooked up.
How many people we got viewing? Anybody?
We have 6.
Okay. We got our food coming. This place is amazing. The food is incredible. It's a macadamia nut farm. It's completely organic. I don't know how many years. How many years has this been going on, Lorenzo? Let's get Lorenzo. You want to jump on right now? Might as well jump on right now rather than me talking to him across the.
Move over for that.
Take your time.
I got nothing else.
Well, in the meantime,
Lorenzo will explain it to you. He could do a much better job than I can. But it's an amazing facility.
Ooh.
And we were lucky enough to come across it. Actually, somebody from the Monero community reached out to us. What's his name, Matt?
Matt, yep.
Matt reached out to us. He saw what we were doing with Gratuitous. I don't want to give away too much about him, but I believe his wife is Guatemalan. And he loved what we were doing down here with the coffee and the tipping the farmers. And he reached out to us. We had a great conversation with him. And he told us we need to check out the experimental macadamia nut farm. Order the macadamia pancakes, which we have right here.
Right here.
They're amazing.
It's yummy food. Really yummy
so,
food.
Lorenzo, let's give Lorenzo a mic.
Oh, not in.
Is he in?
Not in the shot.
Here, hook me up.
I will hook you up.
Hold on.
That was the best offer I had all day.
There you go.
Lorenzo, you're live.
You're live on Monerotopia.
Have you ever been on YouTube before? Have you been live? I know you watch YouTube.
I've been in jail. I've been here and there, but
he's checking his pulse. You are live.
I think I smell bad, but I'm alive. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So why don't you tell everybody a little bit about the farm, how you started this, what it's all about?
This is a radical experiment in the environment, in the sense that for my personal self, organics is hype. You spray with organics, it does the same thing as the chemicals. The only thing is it goes way quicker. Kills the microbiology in the root zone, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And we wanted to go completely the other way. So this farm is 0 tolerance, no insecticides, no fungicides, no chemicals of any kind. And you take a look at the trees, they're good. And one of the other things is the genetic amplitude within the species. A male and a female, they can have any number of children. They're all different. That's Mother Nature's primary survival device for species from the changes of evolution. That's why we're all. And you go to, first, humans, macadamias, avocados, and apples have the same genetic spread. You go to the supermarket today, you find 5 or 6 varieties of apples. They've reduced the gene pool to the point that it probably can't sustain a climate change. So essentially, we've committed evolutionary suicide with our food crop. And this farm got a gold medal in Geneva in 2002 in the environment. And we've been able to breed a seed bank that is so powerful that we don't graft anymore. One of our project in Nicaragua, there's probably 5,000 different varieties of macadamia trees down there.
Amazing.
And
why macadamia nuts? Like, why'd you start in this? Why'd you pick macadamia nuts of all things?
Well, I'd like to be normal, but it gives me hives. And I was backed into this. Well, I was retired when I was 32 years old. Fireman, you gotta be really dumb to be a fireman. Back made into pieces, two operations on the knee, got the ligaments of a dead man in it and burned my bronchial tubes, but I'm okay. And I moved to Mexico, and there were only two people that lived full time where I was, myself and my mentor, Bill Hogan, God bless him. And at that time in 72, the sun goes down, and guess what? It gets dark, and that's it. No internet, none of this stuff. So we get together and have dinner, and his wife was a plant freak. So one night she comes walking out of the back room, she says, "Hey, let's go to Costa Rica and plant macadamia nuts." So we did. That turned into an adventure you could write a story about. They had reserved 5,000 trees from a nursery that had almost 250,000 trees. They sent me down there as point man. My experience was I didn't speak Spanish. I'd never seen a macadamia tree, so I was absolutely the right pick. And so I go down and see about the trees. Oh, I'm sorry, we can't give you any trees. And I went home and I sat on a john for a while trying to figure out what to do. And I was very fortunate. I had a letter of introduction to a Mr. Alberto Camacho at the Inter-American Institute of Agricultural Sciences in Costa Rica. And that was Plan B. And they deal at doctors and masters only. But if you're going to see Mr. Camacho, you better bring your broom and your mop. So I go down and I give the letter to the secretary. I said, I have a letter of introduction to Mr. Camacho. She gives me a Nazi salute. He was the only one on the staff that wasn't a 5-star PhD. But when Camacho spoke, they shut up. And he worked for FDA during the Second World War when the Japanese were taking the rubber. And he built them a rubber tree over here to work. He took the roots of one, the trunk of another, and the leaves of another, put them all together, made it happen. It was like a Rembrandt in agriculture. And I got out of high school with a 1.47 grade average because they still had a back door. And I was adopted by him at the university level. And I'm still learning how to read and write. And I was allowed to go to have lunch with the professors. So I asked the questions, they gave me the answers, and I listened to their chit chat. So I was there because I wanted to be. I needed to be there. And because of the size of the project, all the brains of Hawaii were there. And I was adopted by them as well. If you can tell a good dirty joke, you get in anywhere.
Well, you're certainly good at that. You've told quite a few since we've been here.
And I got an education in macadamia. It's just not available. It isn't a question of money or whatever. It's just not there. And at the end of the story, what I figured out is they didn't know what the hell they were talking about. You know, if you're not looking from the outside in, sometimes you don't see it right. Mm-hmm. And they all swore in a stack of Bibles that you couldn't grow macadamia nuts in Costa Rica at sea level. So we took a weekend. We went down to Limon on the East Coast and up north. I don't even know where. Having the mail option, I had to water a plant. So I go back into the bush, take the hose out. As soon as I get the antenna out, I'm peeing on a macadamia tree with fruit and flower. Can you believe that? You could look for that tree until hell freezes over. And I'm taking a leak on it. And I'm thinking to myself, you know, Lorenzo, God is definitely talking to you here. And what's he saying? Play with your nuts. Huh?
And you've been doing that ever since.
Ever since.
So it's more than just an organic farm. It's also sustainable in the way you.
It's completely sustainable. Organics has some downsides. If you put an organic fungicide on a plant, it does exactly the same thing as chemicals. For example, if I put an organic fungicide on my trees, it would do the same job as a chemical. The only thing is it would go away quicker. That's all. And every biological entity has a defense mechanism. And when you start messing with the biology of the soil like that, you kill the microbiology that digests organic material. The excretia from which lives the tree, you cut off the food supply. It puts the tree in stress, so what does it do? It can do something I can't. It can communicate with the insect kingdom. It'll liberate a pheromone and actually call the insects to come and take off my flower, my fruit, and my leaf to rest the roots. And if you keep it out of the stress zone, it doesn't do that. And if you look around here, you don't see any insects. And, you know, we've been living in hype forever. You can't go around poisoning the earth with chemicals and expect that the earth is going to like you. And the idea that you could develop a macadamia tree from seed that was commercial, completely impossible. And I can't get an honest job. You know, if it's possible, somebody else gets it. So I decided, and the family has backed me, that we were going to do this, and you know, by the grace of God, it was done. I can't claim any particular credit for that. You know, the music comes from upstairs. I just get up and dance.
Well, you're good at dancing, that's for sure.
And,
who invented these macadamia pancakes?
Richard and the crew.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Delicious.
Delicious.
I also want to bring up the fact too. It's you give away a lot of macadamia trees, right?
We've
So
given away probably over $250,000.
$250,000.
Yeah.
And so, what's the idea with that? It allows people to start their own little farms.
Well, yeah, I'm strictly private sector, and poverty doesn't serve anybody. There's no useful product you can make out of poverty. And what am I going to sell to some poor soul who doesn't have 2 cents to rub together? So the idea is you don't build the economy from the top down, you build the economy from the bottom up. And it takes a while, but these trees make a lot of money. An Indian family could run this. This is 5 acres. One indigenous family could run this, and they could make about $25,000 a year. You can count on your fingertips how many people make that kind of money here. But the problem is, we finance this with my pension, and we give the trees away, but we don't have to go out. We don't have how to go out and supervise them all. And a goodly part of them didn't make it, but there's a lot of them out there now.
Very cool.
And this is also the first line of defense for the indigenous community in terms of food security, because these trees give nuts every day. If your corn and beans go under, these trees are a lot more resistant, and you can go out and pick up something to eat.
Very cool.
When I was on the commission mandated by the peace accords, I'd have to go out to the indigenous communities, and what you see is they go to school with the kids with a cup of coffee and a tortilla. They can't learn. There's no way in God's green earth. There's no fuel here, And the macadamia is heavily fortified with omegas, and it's brain food. So, and the tree itself, a decent-sized macadamia can fix 64 cubic feet of CO2 every day and liberate the same amount of oxygen. And it can give to the air 55 gallons of water in the form of vapor. So, you know, when you start adding up all the pluses, this is something really special.
And the oil is amazing too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's got a lot of good properties.
Well, some of the major cosmetic companies been over here, and after they found out what I was doing, and now the oil is pretty popular. And one of the things is that part of the problem was how to keep a sustainable price underneath the macadamia nuts.
Mm-hmm.
And because of the oils, now I had a friend of mine. He's got a big farm. He's got everything you could think of. He says the only thing that's holding his price is the macadamia. They're paying somewhere around $1 a pound in the shell. That means they're paying a farmer $4 a pound for nut meat.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just a whole lot of advantages. Mm-hmm.
Well, I think we started to tell you what we're doing, right? With the Monero, with the cryptocurrency.
That's
So I
it.
think there's some overlap there.
There is definitely so. Yeah, I'm. You got to move some money. You know, if you want to stop immigration, they don't want to walk across the desert to get to the States. They don't want to leave their families. Huh? They want to stay home and live life like normal people. And if they're in poverty and they live in corruption and violence, they get to the point they don't have much of a choice. And it's been a big failure on State Department because AID, you know what that is?
AID?
Aid to International Development.
Okay, yeah.
You know what the plural is?
What's that?
AIDS. This is a gold medal operation. They've never been here. And it's not about spreading the wealth. It's about take it to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was abused as a child. I think I told you I was born in San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
That's abuse. I was kidnapped from the hospital and taken directly to my mother's apartment in Haight-Ashbury in 1940. So I've been really badly formed. And
How old are you?
81.
You're one of the sharpest 80-year-olds I've ever spoken to. And the topics that you were talking about quantum physics yesterday, you were telling me YouTube videos that I need to be watching on biology and breakthroughs in cognitive science. You're always like this? You're always searching for information and learning new things?
I was only put together with one screw, and it was probably loose. And I have an innate curiosity. And, you know, knowledge is power.
Do you know about cryptocurrency at all? Have you studied it at all?
I know a little bit, but no, I haven't done too much research on that.
Okay.
But, you know, if you don't get out, the banks are now going to charge you money to have your money in the bank.
Exactly.
And we bought a thing of psyllium because I have to take some medicines that stop me up. And you read the label, it's 51% sugar. And my wife bought some salt down here because it's supposed to be natural. You read the label. It had what's the name of that? Fluoride in it. But you know what fluoride is? I think that's a toxic waste produced by industry. And if you put fluoride on a piece of stainless steel, it'll eat a hole in it. If you put it on a piece of glass, it'll eat a hole in it. If you put it on cement, it'll eat a hole in it. And it's like low dose radiation. You keep doing that stuff, you ain't doing yourself no favor. And you know, they can't teach the people common sense.
Well, Lorenzo, one of the things we wanted to do was consider adding your oil to gratuitous. So we'd sell your oil. We bought a bunch of it yesterday.
Yeah.
It feels like it's working already.
Well, don't cure ugly now. I tried it. It didn't work at all.
And then the idea is that anybody that buys that oil on gratuitous would then be able to send a tip directly with Monero to the people that work on the farm that make it possible.
Well, let me give you an idea. The government shut this place down for 7 months. And the people here, they don't have anything behind them. And Amelia and I wound up paying them 200 quetzales a week out of our pockets for that time so they could eat.
Mm-hmm.
And when people buy our products, there's a secondary benefit in the fact that we're out there planting trees for people, trying to make this world a little better place. Amelia, she's the real model of the place. I'm not allowed to tell you how old she is because she gets really out of whack. But
Amelia, you want to jump on?
Come say hi.
I'm 81 and she's 2 years younger.
Over the chair.
Somebody's going to sleep with the dogs.
Again, still?
Still.
Yeah.
Come over here.
Okay.
Can I move?
Maybe you guys could take the.
Here,
I guess I'll.
I'm unplugged.
You're on.
So one of the things I wanted to explain to you guys, if we were to do this, the way it would work is because we did this at the coffee farm, right?
Uh-huh.
So cryptocurrency, it sounds very complicated, and in many ways it is. But there's also some things that make it quite simple. So essentially to hold crypto, you at the end of the day you don't even need a smartphone. You don't even need a computer.
Wow.
All you need is what's called a private key.
Okay.
And so at its core, crypto is based on cryptography.
Yeah.
And so if you hold that private key, you hold the funds that are associated with that private key. And then so to hook people up with Monero, it doesn't require them to have smartphones or computer access.
Wow.
To use it, they'll need that. But in its most basic form, all they really need is a 25-word seed.
Okay.
It's basically a 25-word code, like a password.
Yeah, wow.
And when they hold that, and if Monero is sent to the public key associated with that, which is where people will be tipping, they'll hold that Monero, and nobody else will have access to it. And so it's as simple as giving them a piece of paper with 25 words on it that they can hold. And as people are buying your product, if we were to add the oil to it, and if they wanted to send a tip, they can send. This is another beautiful part about Monero. They can send, $1. They can send 50 cents. They can send 10 cents, and because of the way Monero works, the transaction fees are so low that it would make sense for them to do that.
Oh, that's
I think the transaction fees are like a third of a penny right now. So, somebody sitting in New York that's putting the macadamia oil on in the morning, getting ready for work, saying, you know what, I really appreciate this product.
Wow.
Can pick up a barcode, take their smartphone, and send 10 cents of Monero that would go to the farmers. But that's the power of it, right? It's like the equivalent of being able to reach across the world, take 10 cents out of your pocket and put it in a tip jar. It didn't go through any bank. It didn't go through any corporation that anybody controls. It's really the equivalent of peer-to-peer putting it in somebody's pocket.
And you know that what you are putting on, it is so natural, but it's also helping somebody. That it's not like other cosmetics that they just put the money in the bank and for business. No, our mission, our business is plant trees for the indigenous, for people who need to eat better, people who are going to have trees that produce all year round. They are not graft. It's a tree that has all the gene pool. I imagine Lorenzo explained all of that to you. But it's a fantastic tree because it helps in so many ways the planet.
Yes.
Great. We love Monero.
I'm
beginning to...
we highly respect what you guys have done. So we're hoping, maybe one day where we're telling this story like you guys are of the
Oh, for
success
sure.
of Gratuitous 30 years from now. So
You will.
a lot of
Before,
respect for what you guys have done, and you guys turned it into a sustainable business that
Likewise.
actually helps people at the same time.
This thing
great,
was so far out
great.
that nobody in the world was going to finance it. Everything you see here, everything you see here is impossible. That you don't need to use anything, and you don't need a graft. Nobody in the world is going to believe that. Emmy and I had 2 meetings with the Dean of Ag and Environmental Science at UC Davis, arranged by the Dean. And I explained to him, if you don't quit reducing the gene pool, you're not going to have what to eat. And they don't get it.
No.
Mm-mm. And, you know, I have the fortune, I didn't go to school. I was expelled from reform school for good conduct, as you may imagine. And,
Poor thing.
you know, if you can't think out of the box, I was a fireman. And what are firemen noted for? Think out of the box. Yeah. And fortunately, we've been able to start this and make it run and finance the operation between my pension and what we can move into the marketplace.
Amazing.
We were the first people on the planet that brought macadamia nut oil as an anti-aging component to the final consumer, 1976. And it's a fun ride, you know. And if you're not whipping the horse real good, you ain't gonna win. And life has been good to me, and I like to pay it back. Yeah, I got no complaints whatsoever.
Amazing.
I was gonna be the richest SOB in the graveyard till I figured out that was a good idea.
You can't take it with you, right?
No.
That applies to, you know, everything, right? Not just
Well, the same life you have inside of you is the same life I have inside of me. So if I'm messing with you, if you go down to the quantum level, I'm messing with myself. And it just doesn't make sense. It's a lose-lose deal. Even if you think you won, there's a whole lot of people running around with a pocket full of money and they're not happy. A good example, you give somebody a Christmas present that you like and they like it, makes you happy. People forget that in January. And this is all about putting into life. We have the privilege of being alive. We need to pay that back. It ain't free. But, you know, the whole system is broken from A to Z.
why is that? What do you think is fundamentally wrong with the system?
The economics are bad. The politics are bad. The religions are bad. Not bad, but, you know, Christ said, love each other. They do everything but, And Mohammed wasn't about cutting people's heads off. And you will never get any better than the amount of love you have in your heart. And if you keep that inside, it'll rot. You have to give it away. And I'm the remnants of the flower children. I've since gone to sea, but I'm still here. And, you know, the kind of happiness that we have, you can't buy. There's no way. And basically, we're just really lucky. I'm the living proof that God loves idiots.
God loves everything.
Listen, Lorenzo, we're gonna let you eat your what is that, waffles? I mean, look at that, guys.
With
And then here's
blueberries.
I don't know if you can see
Yeah,
ours
even
over here.
Mine's waiting.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's going to get
Oh, you
cold.
can't even see.
I don't know if people can see the farm. But any last tidbits of advice you want to give people out here in Monero land? You're a wealth of wisdom, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Buddha.
what should young people? I mean, there's a lot of young people watching, a lot of very, I think intelligent people that are tuning in.
Sure.
What would be some wisdom to give them on how they should be approaching life in an attempt to improve things?
Buddha said he was very big on individual responsibility. And if I'm not responsible, nobody else is going to be. And happiness is not something you're going to get. When I get my house, I'm going to be happy. When I get then I got to get my card, I'm going to be happy. And so, like I said, it never ends. Happiness is something you have to have inside. And it comes from the fact that you were never taught to appreciate the gift that life is. In the Book of the Dead of the Egyptians, maybe 8,000 years ago, they believed that the most wonderful gift in the universe was life itself. And we don't think like that anymore. It's all about hustle and bustle. And
All right.
yeah.
Very good advice.
And I would like to say something
Yes,
that
please.
Mother Teresa said,
Okay.
which is, if you are no good to serve, you are no good to live. Because here in this planet, we are to serve in any way you can. And you can even serve with a smile. What you are doing is great. I love Monero. So you can serve in so many ways, but serve.
Amazing.
Our love for New York. I used to live in New York and 40 years ago. Also, I'm greeting the whole world because I know Monero is all over the world. And great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys.
You guys are
Pleasure.
amazing. So anybody that ever gets near Antigua, you got to
Yeah, come
make
visit,
your way over here. I know this is a little bit of a different show today, but we wanted to provide you with the beautiful assets that we found here, provided to our community. Let you guys meet Lorenzo and his wife, and see what's happening here with the farm. And yeah, maybe we will team up. Maybe we'll get the
Sure.
gratuitous tip thing going. We'll talk more about that.
Okay.
But yeah, I guess we'll kind of get back to our regular scheduled
Okay.
show now.
Okay.
But thank you so much,
Thank you
guys.
so
This
much
is
for your
amazing.
time.
Thank you for your time.
A pleasure and an honor. Thank you so
And
much.
thank you for your wisdom. Appreciate it. Thank you for sharing it with us.
Pleasure.
All right, guys. Thank you, Lorenzo. If anybody is tuning in that wants to jump on
Yeah,
the
we have a few
stage-
actually that are on here.
Okay. How's it going, guys?
I'll
Can you
move it
guys
over.
hear us? People that
can move
are
it over.
on the stage?
You sure? No.
Yeah, I can hear.
Aren't they? Is this speaker?
Yeah. Yeah, the speaker's on, I believe.
Battery 100.
Okay. So we have a few on the stage actually right now. You want to introduce yourself? I see a fellow Monerista. You want to say hello? Hello? Or
Come on, guys,
Monero
don't be
man?
shy.
Don't be shy.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Who's this?
All right.
I think we can hear you now, right? Hello? Oh, hello.
Yeah, I mean, I've been on this show before. Yeah, so I just wanted to come and listen.
Just want to
here.
say hello?
Yeah, hello. Can you hear me? Or
Yes,
yeah,
we can hear
now.
you.
We see you too. Thanks
Yeah,
for
we
putting
see
your
you.
camera on.
I know.
A lot of people on here don't like to show their
Yeah,
face.
please
but
show
it's nice
your faces.
to
Yeah.
see faces.
Wait, where'd you go? Okay.
So what's going on, man? What's your Monero story?
yeah, I guess I got into it like a few years back. When
Thank you
someone
again.
Thank you.
he was a malware developer, showed me his latest malware, and showed me that people were supposed to send Bitcoin to this address, and I think that was kind of my first contact with it. I didn't have the understanding back then, but over time I got more and more interested into it, because like in many respects it's like magic, you know, whole cryptography and the system just fits together so nicely. Yeah, so I'm very fascinated about Monero.
Very cool. Where are you located, if you don't mind me asking, generally?
Yeah, in Switzerland.
Okay. What's the Monero scene like in Switzerland?
Actually, I don't know about like any scenes. I know that there is a Bitcoin scene, and I guess there are quite a few Monero people there as well. But just like in my circle, I know a few people who are into Monero. Partly also who I got into Monero. So we have a little local scene here with a few enthusiasts, but nothing yet.
Very cool. Do you follow Monero closely? Are you constantly tuned in? What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, I try to listen to every Monero Talk episode. I'm just eagerly awaiting every release. So yeah, I would say I'm very involved with it. Also, like with some side projects I do that I try to integrate Monero into. It's just very cool technology.
What's your take on the price right now? Do you follow? We normally don't talk about price, but I think it's good to bring it up every once in a while. I see it looks like the market took a big dump down recently. You have any response to that?
Yeah, I mean, I see a lot of people like being a bit upset about the ratio of Bitcoin to Monero, but I think in the long run this will not be so relevant. I mean, in general, the price in the long run, like the current price movements, they are not really relevant because you have this underlying technology and also this very cool community around Monero. And I just think that this idea of like digital cash, it will prevail over time because it's just such a good system. So I don't worry about the price too much.
Couldn't agree more there. Who else do we have?
We have
Online.
Monero Man. Monero Man.
Monero
you
Man,
say
can you hear
hello?
us?
I think he was on the last show too.
Hello.
Hi, how's it
Hey,
going?
how's it going?
Hello.
Hi,
We hear you.
we hear you.
Hey, yeah, I'm good. How are you guys doing there?
Good.
Thanks for tuning in and jumping
Hello.
on. Yeah, hello. I think you have.
Monero Man, go
Yes,
ahead.
right. Can you guys hear me?
Yes,
yeah,
we
is
can.
Monero Man the flag?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, we can hear you.
Monero Man,
Yeah. I'm also the flag man. Yeah.
Oh, you're also
You're
flag
the
man.
flag
Okay.
man. Hi, flag
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Hi.
Last
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm
Any new flag Monero flag sightings or showings rather? What's going on, man? Go ahead.
sorry.
You're breaking up a little.
You guys know.
Monero Man's struggling there. I don't know. We can't hear you too well.
I guess in the meantime,
Who else we got?
no.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah. Hello.
Monero Man, we can't really hear you. Maybe get a better connection or something. I'm not sure what's going on over there.
Well, I guess in the meantime, we can say we can thank our sponsor.
Oh yeah. Well, there's some news with Cake too, right? I saw that. Go ahead, Monero Man. Keeps breaking up. Yeah. In terms of Cake, I saw that they.
I don't think my connection's too good.
Yeah, I don't think your connection's good. Maybe wait to get a better connection because you're just coming in and out. I think it's very delayed. What was Cake was offering free? I think they were basically reimbursing people that were
Swapping between
so that's
Bitcoin
amazing,
to
guys.
Monero,
So
yeah.
anybody, I'm sure everybody watching is kind of already aware of that because that was an amazing giveaway they were doing there.
I can even pull it up here.
But yeah, we're sponsored by Cake. That's what keeps us going.
Swapping between.
That's amazing, guys.
You.
What's?
Oh wait, there's someone else now.
Yeah.
Why do we hear ourselves here?
No, no, because someone jumped on and they didn't mute themselves. Harmon.
Harmon, what's going on, man?
Hi. Oh no, I muted you. Now you have to unmute yourself.
You can't unmute him.
I can't unmute him once I mute him.
There.
There you go. Oh, hi, how's it going?
Good. I'm really super new into this, and I only learned it through the Dollar Vigilante, and I just kept back in last March or something a year ago. It was $35, and I'm retired, and I live off about $4,000 a month. I have no assets to my name and no savings or anything. So I took about $2,000 that I scraped up, and I just bought Monero. And I thought maybe in the long run, so it gives me. I got about 18 Moneros now.
Okay.
And I'm just thinking
never
maybe
tell anybody how many Moneros you have, but go ahead.
Okay. It's a little amount. So okay, thank you. That's how new I am. Anyway, so I should just probably just save it for my granddaughter, right? Just long term.
Sure.
And that's all. I just live off I'm 62. I probably got a few years left, but all my family dies young, so I'm not worried about that much.
All right. Well, you look like you're a healthy guy. You look like you're doing well over there. Yeah, I think playing the long game is what it's all about, right? So we're obviously in the very early days of this technology, and if it's going to work out as we expect it to, it's gonna grow a lot more, right? If we're thinking that the entire world is going to be using this currency to transact, it's got a long way to go and to grow. So I think holding it's a good thing to do. I mean, obviously in Monero more so than in Bitcoin, we like to talk about actually using the crypto. We encourage people to use it. Monero happens to be more usable. Transaction fees are low. When you transact, every transaction isn't traced and known, making it more usable. But it's hard to ignore the fact that it probably does make sense to use it as a store of value as well, simply because as the network grows and more people use it, it's going to have a much greater value than what the value of it is today. So I think you're taking the right approach. And, obviously this isn't investment advice. It never is. But, don't invest more than you can afford to lose. But I think you're on the right track. What made you excited about it? What made you think it was something even worth putting your money into?
Well, I just kept listening to Jeff Barrick's videos and just listening to him day to day. And finally, I said, okay, let me go on Coinbase, open an account, and just do it. And that's what I did. And but of course, to get Monero, I couldn't get it there. And then I made a mistake. I went to Exodus Wallet with Ethereum. Then I traded over Ethereum, exchanged it in Exodus, and that's like 22% of your money gone for this.
Well, I would say in the future, one of probably the easiest ways is to use Cake. It has an exchange built in there. And now you can hold your Bitcoin there as well. It's super simple, quick, easy way to exchange between cryptos, so you can convert any crypto into it. Obviously, there's exchange fees involved, but that's
what I did now the second time doing it, I went to Kraken and exchanged it like that, and I got it. Then I put it in my Exodus wallet. And that way, it didn't cost me nothing.
Yeah, you might even want to with Kraken. I'm in New York, so I can't use it. I wish I could. But you could buy Monero essentially directly with Fiat in Kraken. So
do I have to go to Kraken Pro to do that? I mean, it was easy for me to get my bank linked to Coinbase, but then I went to Kraken. And I can't figure out how to put my bank to it.
I don't know. I've never used it. I just see people talking about it, and I know it's kind of it's described as a Fiat on-ramp to Monero. So there's certainly a way to do it. If anybody who's listening or watching wants to jump on and talk about Kraken a little bit,
I could chime in there
firsthand.
You guys hear?
Yes.
Yeah,
a
so
legit
if you're
thing?
if you're using Kraken, you can do basically get verified. It's real easy, and then all you got to do is send Bitcoin there from. You don't have to link a bank account, so you can send Bitcoin there, trade that for Monero, and then you can send that off to a private wallet.
How about using? Can you could go direct from Fiat to Monero on Kraken, correct?
So Kraken, you can only wire money on there, so you have to pay $25 to wire it on there. So, you know, if you have Bitcoin somewhere else, I would just recommend opening an account, which is really easy to get verified, sending Bitcoin there, and then trading that for Monero.
Okay. And then I also saw, I think they are adding ACH, but I think it's just they're slowly. I don't think it's open up to everybody. That's my understanding. Once again, I don't use Kraken, but that's what my understanding.
Okay,
You know,
so then I got Kraken already. I've been verified already, so I don't need Kraken Pro.
I mean, can you, if you go into the on the top it says funds, if you click on funds and then you go to Bitcoin, you should have a deposit address there, and then you should be able to deposit, and then you should be able to trade from there.
Yeah, I've already done that. Now one time, and I got it figured out. But what's the advantage of having Kraken Pro to just regular Kraken?
I'm not exactly sure. As long as you can buy Monero, what's the difference, right?
That's right. Exactly. Touche. All right.
So,
this is awesome, guys.
I'll let you guys go, and thank you so much, and drive safe, guys.
Thank you, man. Thank you for jumping on, both of you. This is exactly what we want to see. This Monerotopia is, as you can see, is there's no real format to the show. It's just kind of an open format for the community to get involved. So anybody that wants to come on stage, talk about anything related to Monero, please do. Never hesitate, whether you're a noob or a complete expert. Come on down. Anybody else want to jump on and talk about anything?
We have a few that are on here.
Yeah, I have a question, I think.
Sure.
Sure.
I've been looking into some other privacy coins. Is there a privacy coin you also like besides Monero?
To be honest, no. For me, it's not even a matter of privacy coin. Obviously, that's often how it's described. But I'm just interested in finding the project that's doing digital cash or digital gold, whatever you want to call it, the best. So I really see it as Monero's main competition is really Bitcoin. So I'm trying to find the one that does digital gold, digital cash the best. And why I ultimately go with Monero is because of the fungibility aspects. So I believe that, for this stuff to work, it needs to be fungible at the protocol level. Obviously, because of that, it's one of the side effects is it is private, right? That's what, gives it its fungibility. The fact that coins can't be tainted and marked. But yeah, no, I don't think there's really any other project that's doing anything close to what Monero is doing and has achieved. Another major consideration, so even just ignoring the tech, is just adoption, right? So people actually use Monero, they use it to transact, there's real use cases there. It's used on the dark web, whether or not, you think that's a good thing, it is. It actually has real usage. You can look at the transaction volume. It's going up all the time. It dwarfs any other, a privacy coin in real world usage. So I don't think there's anybody that's really competing on that level. Is there
a
particular project that you're kind of alluding to, or?
I've been looking into Heaven, and it's built on the Monero code. And what they created is they created a platform where you can use your Heaven to put it into stable coins. Like you have XUSD, so that's a stable coin back to the dollar, and you have X Euro, so you can also in the platform you can switch your Heaven to Euro if you want, and they are planning to add silver and gold too, and maybe some other things. But I kind of like that project, and I have some of it.
Yeah, I don't have any. I do think it's I think it's an interesting. If I had to say anything's interesting, I do think it's interesting. I got to do more research on it, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I'm most interested in the projects that are trying to be digital gold, digital cash. Haven, I like the fact that it's trying to create a stable coin that's also has these anonymous and private characteristics. So I do think that's interesting. And obviously the fact that they're, using the Monero protocol is interesting. I know there might be some controversy there and how they started, and I don't know much about it, but we'll do more research on it. We'll probably do a show on it at some point, or have somebody come on and talk about it. But yeah, I'm really most interested in just finding the true crypto that does digital cash the best. So I stay focused on Monero.
Yeah, that's a good choice.
I could jump in there too.
Sure, go ahead.
So I've been in the crypto vigilante for over a year now, and if you guys know, they're pretty heavy on heavy Monero. But one that they have highlighted or showcased before is Pirate Chain. It's kind of more of a long shot, if you guys want to get in early kind of deal. But they're heavily in Monero, and they're kind of their asymmetrical risk play is Pirate Chain, which is private by default like Monero, and has a bigger anonymity set as well. Not to mention, it's probably the most secure blockchain out there.
Yeah, I mean, there's there are all these. I start to sound like a Bitcoin maximalist, but now I'm the Monero maximalist. So I know there's hypocrisy there, but I do think there's a lot of reason or truth to the fact that the network effect is real, first mover advantage is real, and Monero has that in terms of being the best form of digital cash. So I think it's hard to create another project that's truly open source, not really controlled by any central authorities, that will then catch up to Monero in being a real project that has adoption, that has a lot of developers working on it. I mean, you got to look at all those things as well. So you can go and you can create something that may be technically superior in ways, but it's going to have to gain adoption. So that's why I'm kind of suspicious of anything else. Monero, I think it's good enough in its technology, and it's part of its ethos is to evolve. So it's always going to try to maintain its status at being the best digital cash, and it's gained momentum with being kind of the first mover privacy coin, if that's what you want to call it. And I think that gives it a great advantage. And it's going to be really difficult, if not impossible, for anything else to catch up. So that's kind of my take. I mean, just like I said, so the mining network, the amount of people that are mining the coin, so that the hash power, the amount of people that are actively developing the coin. Monero's, by certain metrics, is the third most developed coin. So just the brain power and the mind share that Monero controls, the amount of people that are using it, it's going to be very difficult for anything else to catch up to that.
For sure. And I had a question for you guys too. So obviously Monero and privacy coins are threatening to the power structure, the powers that ought not to be. Obviously they can't ban Monero. They can potentially suppress the price enough. Do you guys worry about that at all? Their their interference of a free market as far as Monero goes and price appreciation?
Well, like you said, there's at the end of the day, like you said, it can't be stopped, right? So it's a truly decentralized network. It's permissionless. Anybody anywhere can start mining. Anybody anywhere can use the network to transact. You can't stop it. They could make it difficult to have on-roads to it with fiat. And, I think we're already experiencing that, right? So we just had a conversation with this gentleman who's trying to figure out how to get Monero. And it's not the easiest thing to obtain right now. And that's because, the powers that be have made it a little difficult to obtain it. But I've always seen that as an indication of the fact that Monero works as intended. It is truly disruptive, which is why, the powers that be feel threatened by it, because it's doing what it's supposed to be doing as a cryptocurrency, as opposed to something like Bitcoin, which has been fully embraced. Because at the end of the day, I don't think it is as threatening, right? So if everybody's transacting with Bitcoin, which we all know is perfectly traceable at the protocol level, somebody just posted on Reddit, on the Monero Reddit, how the chain analytics company, one of them, I think, just raised $100 million. So I could be getting these numbers wrong, but just showing that industry is very strong, a lot of money going into it. Bitcoin, is being co-opted in a lot of ways, and it's because it lacks that privacy and fungibility at the protocol level. I think governments feel like they're not as threatened by it. So I am I wouldn't say concerned. It's unfortunate that this may in some way slow the progress of the project, because it's going to be difficult maybe at some points for people to obtain it. But ultimately, you got to take the bad with the good, because of its nature, because of the fact that it is truly private. It's gonna have to face this harsh reality with the powers that be. But you can't have it both ways. So it's ultimately I see that as a good thing, and it can't be stopped. And I think we've talked about this a lot on the show. So you may have some country somewhere who makes it really difficult to obtain Monero, but then you have other countries elsewhere that realize that they can benefit from allowing their citizens to easily obtain it and work with it. So I don't think you're ever going to have some global coordination, all governments working together to stamp out Monero. It's just not really how geopolitics works and how countries work. It will never play out that way. So it's unstoppable. And even if there is some kind of dark ages in places where it's difficult to get, ultimately it will prevail and people will be able to obtain their Monero and use it. That's my take on that.
Right on.
All right. We have untraceables on.
I saw there was the new FAFSA guidance that came out. That's kind of in line with what you're talking about right now. I didn't really take a close look at that. But basically, you have this authority, the FATF, I guess is what the acronym is. They're basically talking about new guidance, how they maybe are going to have to redefine what a VASP even is. There's some starts to sound a little scary, like they're even talking about how, uncentralized, maybe even the Lightning Network itself may be categorized as a VASP. So when you start to see these things get talked about, it does sound a little scary. It does sound like they're cracking down. But this is part of the growing pains. I think we all anybody who's been following this industry closely knew that this was going to happen at some point. That they were going to start to create more regulations around this industry. And what crypto is about, it's not about being necessarily friendly to regulators or even being concerned about them. It's about creating a technology that's truly distributed, that essentially can't be stopped by any government or any regulation. That's what the cypherpunk crypto anarchist dream is. It's about creating a technology that ultimately doesn't care what the regulations are around it, and that it'll still be able to exist. So all these things are, they're expected, and I think we're going to see more of it. But I also think we're going to start to see, like I said, countries that become more friendly to it. You're going to start to see, I think, the pendulum swings, and maybe right now the pendulum is swinging too far to one side in terms of regulation and people being scared of how these things can be misused. But the pendulum will ultimately swing back, and we'll find some reasonable ground where people will be able to use their crypto. Governments will realize that it is unstoppable and realize that the best thing for them to do is to work with it as opposed to working against it, because they're gonna the ones that realize that sooner will benefit the most. And we're seeing it already with Bitcoin, because I think with Bitcoin it's a little less threatening up front, and eventually we'll see that with Monero too, where governments will realize, hey, this is ultimately, there's a lot more to gain from this technology than lose, and it can't be stopped. So they're gonna have to work with it. Anybody else out there that wants to?
We have Capo DiGiorno. Oh wait, he disappeared. Oh no, he's here, or she.
Okay.
Want to say hello?
We should probably talk about
Yeah.
So guys, the
let's talk
coffee
about-
farm thing
went on Monday. Yeah, it
went really well. I don't think we gave anybody the update.
Camera.
We met the farmers. There's 18 of them that we
18 that we
spoke
talked.
to. We gave them their private keys. Some of these guys couldn't even write their own name. Some of them couldn't read. Others, but there were others that had smartphones in their pockets and that actually really understood, already knew about cryptocurrency. And so our hope is that those people will teach the others. We got all 18 hooked up with their private keys. They walked away understanding the importance of holding it and not showing it to anybody, and keeping it secure. And we also saw, some big tips that already came in. Somebody tipped like $90
$90,
from Monero. I say we saw it because the way this is working right now, the only way for this to work is we're going to have to take the Monero in, and then we're going to redistribute it and send it out to everybody. It's going to take some time to get to the point where we can remove ourselves from doing that, but that's just going to be the nature of it. So I guess there is some trust there and trusting us, but you can trust. I mean, we're not doing this to steal people's tips. It wouldn't be worth our effort. We're doing this to spread Monero, and it's working.
It's working. Yeah,
people were excited about it, especially when we told them that some big tips already came in. They're understanding that. And it means a lot to them. When you divide those tips, it's coming out to whatever, like $5 a person. That's a lot of money for them. And with the potential growth rate of Monero, that can turn into $50, $500, if things go according to plan and how we see this technology get adopted. So it's gratuitous, I would say,
and then we went to the tea store, remember? Yeah, then we went to the tea store.
Oh, we went to the tea store trying to get new products on. We spoke to that girl there, tried to introduce her. We were trying to add tea to gratuitous. We really lucked out with the coffee.
Yeah.
In that we met this guy through in New York who happens to be cousins with this guy that owns this amazing farm down here. It's not going to be as easy to add other products. We're realizing we're going to do it, but it's not. I think we got very lucky with that.
Yeah.
But we'll slowly add other products. Even like the tea. We found the tea, great tea, but it's hard to get access to the farm itself. Directly to the farmers. We're at the macadamia farm now, so maybe that will work out.
We'll add the macadamia
Lorenzo's
oil.
a very, very hip guy. He gets it, so maybe we'll be able to work with him on it. But it's going to be a process. And we're bringing. We should mention.
Oh, that
we're bringing coffee. So
We're
obviously
bringing new coffee. Yeah.
new coffee. So obviously we're selling coffee already, but we're bringing a new
batch
with us that was literally roasted yesterday. So
Different packaging. It's going to be green, but it's the same.
same coffee.
Yeah.
Anybody that wants to like really keep this idea going and help us, the best thing you can do is just buy some coffee. If you drink coffee, buy some coffee. It is it's not the cheapest coffee, but it's just because it's expensive here. We're not making a lot of money off of the bags we sell. It's just really high quality stuff. We're trying to figure out how to make it cheaper. If we could figure out how to ship the beans unroasted, and then we'll roast them ourselves. But that's going to take some work.
Yeah.
So until we figure that out,
effort. Yeah.
it's going to have to be this way. But yeah, anybody that wants to support this idea, just buy some coffee.
Go to gratuitous.org today.
Go to Gratuitous. The coffee is amazing. As we've learned more about it, we realized that we really, lucked out in the farm we found.
Yeah.
I mean,
That tour, yeah, we were there all day.
Beautiful farm, surrounded by volcanoes. They've been making coffee for multiple generations. It's
really good coffee, yeah.
So Gratuitous, complete success in terms of hooking up the farmers, and we're going to continue to work with them. We'll probably come down here again, I'm sure, sometime, within the next, 6 months or so.
Maybe. Yeah.
Oh, other major development, right?
Oh, yeah, the olive oil.
So we're out here, we're in Guatemala, we're trying to talk to producers directly. Meanwhile, we had producers contacting us. So I guess when we put the word out on the last show, we actually had somebody reach out to us, somebody from Greece. We spoke to them on the phone. They want to help us add olive oil.
Add olive oil. Who doesn't want olive oil?
They have direct access to some olive oil farms. I love olive oil. I buy some every month anyway, so I use it for all my cooking. So this could be another great product idea. So we're going to work on that.
We're working on that now. We spoke to them, and hopefully we'll be adding it to our platform soon enough.
And anybody else that's listening that has ideas, or has access to the farms, please reach out, because that's going to be the best way to get these things working. So we're not, approaching people cold and trying to pitch them on Monero and the whole thing. It's quite overwhelming. So if we can add products through the connections that we have in the Monero community, that's probably going to be the best way. So no matter where you live in the world, if you know some farm somewhere, maybe it's part of your family, or it's a friend that that has something, that has some unique product that you think would work for Gratuitous, let us know. We can work on adding it. The ideal products, I think, are things that a lot of people use and eat every day.
Yeah,
like
everyday
coffee,
uses coffee, olive oil for cooking,
and that are produced by people that often don't make a lot of money compared to what the product is sold for. So obviously, coffee, you buy it in the States, a premium bag of coffee costs a lot of money. Meanwhile, the people that pick the beans are only making a few dollars a day. So products like that. So please, once again, anybody that's listening that has any thoughts, has any connections, reach out to us.
Reach out to us, at contact@gratuitous.org or monerotalklive@gmail.com, whichever one. Just reach out to us. And,
anybody else want to chat about anything that's on the stage?
I think we have, Capo DiGiorno, and Untraceable. If you guys want to just quickly say hello.
Untraceable, what's going on?
Hey, what's up, guys?
Howdy. How's it going?
Just want to say I really like what you guys are doing with Gratuitous. I will get my coffee from you guys whenever I need more. If you guys get olive oil, I will try that too.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. That means a lot. That really is. That's what's going to keep this thing going, is people just buying the products.
To chime in a bit, the guy had asked earlier, are there any other privacy projects that anyone is interested in? And my reply to that would be, there isn't really much competition at all with what Monero achieves, because it's either a Monero fork or it's not private by default. There are some private by default projects, but they're so small and have no usage, no acceptance. So really, Monero is kind of alone on this stage. And Haven is a pretty interesting project, I'll admit, But there's some key things that really put me off from it. For example, they have a dev tax, so it's not very decentralized, and the supply, can fluctuate when you mint and burn the assets, the stable coins. So, yeah, in my opinion, or from what I've researched, Monero's kind of alone up there.
All great points. Couldn't agree with you more. I think, I hate to, because you kind of touched on it a little bit too. Obviously, network effect is a real thing, right? So you can have these other projects that come about that, maybe made some technological breakthrough and on a technological level are theoretically more private in ways. But if you don't have the usage, it's kind of worthless. And I hate to make that argument because that's kind of the argument that's made in Bitcoin against Monero. But it's just true. I mean, you can't discount network effect. How do you measure those? How do you balance those two things? So we're making that argument of how important network effect is, but at the same time, we often are arguing with BTC maxis who are saying, Monero is going to trend to zero over time because it's has a network effect. So how do you balance those arguments?
If you think about it, Bitcoin maximalists, they always talk about network effects and how the network effect of Bitcoin is unbeatable. But then again, you see Bitcoin is beating the network effect of the US dollar. And if you think about that, why is that happening? Well, because Bitcoin has some major improvements compared to the US dollar. And then if you accept that fact, that if something that comes along that has some major improvements, which then can actually break some network effects, then it's not such a long shot to think that Monero can break the network effects of Bitcoin. But if you think about what would need to be done to have a product that is so much superior to Monero, you quickly run out of things to improve upon. So I mean that was also a thought that I had. You see, Monero is kind of like the Bitcoin 2.0. The thing that Bitcoin noobs think they bought. It fixes some of the fundamental flaws of it. And if you think about it, what would be like the Monero to Monero? What would this improve upon? What kind of flaws would it fix? And I cannot find any flaws that are so fatal as the flaws in Bitcoin. So what do you think about that?
I think you explained it beautifully, and that's exactly the way I think about it as well. So there's no 10x improvement on Monero, right? So Bitcoin lacked fungibility. Monero brought fungibility. And, we talk about all the reasons also why it's, a great project and that it's, was started similar to the way Bitcoin was and that it was, created by an anonymous group, no central authorities behind it, just a real genuine open source project. And I don't really know what Monero is missing that something else can come about that would make such a drastic 10x improvement over it, right? It's already fulfilling the goal of being digital gold, digital cash. So could it be, could the transaction fees be lower? Sure, but they're pretty low. Could it be potentially more robust in terms of its privacy? Yeah, I guess theoretically it could, but it seems to be good enough to be acting as digital cash. So I don't really know what Monero is missing that some new technology would provide that would make it 10x better, where it would make sense to move from Monero to that new tech, as opposed, but like for all the things you said, people moved from the dollar to Bitcoin because that made sense. The Bitcoin, you could say whatever, Bitcoin did things that were 10x better in terms of features than the dollar. and Monero has certain features that made drastic improvements upon Bitcoin, mainly its lack of fungibility. So that's been solved. I don't really know what else needs to be solved at this point, at this juncture. That's critical. So yeah, totally agree with you. I can't think of anything. Can anybody think of anything that's, there's some critical component that's missing that would make, some better form of digital cash than Monero? Anybody want to comment on that?
I guess it's just really hard to comment on that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of something, but I mean, other than maybe like faster confirmation times, convenience type stuff, it really seems like Monero is doing everything right. And I mean, it will continue to get more private. Like you said, maybe the privacy is good enough. No one can deterministically track Monero, but still people are working on Triptych and other technologies because privacy is going to be a continuous fight. So maybe at some time in the future, Monero is traceable with the current level of privacy that Monero has, but developers, has the third most developers of any crypto project. So all of these things are going to keep improving. So yeah, I really can't think of anything else.
And then if something did magically, come about, it would still have to achieve that network effect. So it's hard to think of something that would really make it worth moving from one network to the other. And even the point you bring up with things like, I guess, scalability and just transaction speed. The thought idea is there that Monero will solve those things, and maybe second layer technologies will solve those things. And once again, we start to sound like BTC maxis, right? Saying like all these things will eventually be solved, but we're different in that we're saying there's certain things that need to be solved on the protocol level, right? So like there's certain aspects that it needs to have on the protocol level, one of those being fungibility. But we're okay with things like transaction speed perhaps being solved on the second layer. And so, yeah, I'm hard pressed to think of some scenario where a completely new project comes about that does digital cash better than Monero's doing, to the point where it would make sense to leave this network to join that one. Guys, we've been on. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, yeah, privacy was the only thing Bitcoin was really missing. So,
hey guys.
Hello.
How's it going?
Oh, there's a Monero fan, new guy. Hello.
Yeah, I'm a new guy, but I've been listening to you guys for a while. I just never joined the calls, I think.
Oh, cool. Awesome. Welcome. Thanks
thank you so much for whatever you guys are doing, and everybody who is on the call. I've been enjoying listening to everybody too. I just wanted to pitch in with my thought here. I know we are trying to talk about digital cash as such, but I do see use cases where it's okay to have a digital cash that is on the public and on the transparent blockchain. So they are not our competition here. Really, in my opinion, and this is my opinion, I mean, the use case for Monero is far more than just digital cash, right? When I'm going to a coffee shop, I'm okay if I'm paying with something that everybody else can see. I don't mind that. And obviously BTC is not the solution there, and that's okay. But I don't think it is just pure digital cash that Monero appeals to. It's a private store of wealth at the end of the day, right? This is public's private store of wealth. Now, BTC is obviously a store of value, but I see it going in a very much more powerful domain down the road, right? it could really get institutionalized and nationalized. Like nations can store their wealth there. But for general public, I think, and unfortunately, there will be some negative money also involved. But those are some of the other use cases. Not just, it's not a replacement. So, for example, I don't even own BCH, but I do see a use case for them. They are okay. They're not our competitors, in my opinion.
Right. So
and I have a very fun story when I started with Monero, by the way, but that can come down the road. Go ahead, guys. Go ahead. I've been ranting for a while.
No. Good point.
No.
So we totally agree with you. So I always say digital cash, digital gold, right? So
Right.
I believe those are two. The protocol that does digital cash should also be doing digital gold, right? It should be that's what the invention is. I think that's what the intent of Bitcoin was, and I think Monero does it better. So do you see Bitcoin as competing with Monero, or you're saying you don't see those two things as competing? Because I think they are competing for the
There
digital
will be
gold.
yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Do you think they're competing for the digital gold space use case?
There definitely is competition, right? What I think BTC went wrong is all these. In the last year, it went really wrong with trying to get aggressive with making price is the attractive point. I think most everybody in this call, or even your audience down the road, they probably have heard something about the Tether scam. But they may not know everything about it. The way that BTC is trying to gain the attraction is through price. And if it would have been done organically, it would have been much more different. But it was done through the background Tether mechanism. It still makes it very attractive to big investors. Right now, they are getting lured into this thing that, hey, there is a strong enough base layer of people who have BTC, and they can take it forward. But this is a very, very small portion of the wealth that is going into BTC right now. And that's all through the fake tethers, like I said. People are getting aware of the crypto space. And BTC is unfortunately pricing them out of their entry point. Sure, Satoshis are very attractive. They're a way to sell, and the maxis are trying their best to do that. No question about it. But still, I think people do have a concern about privacy, regardless of what you see on social media. They don't want to store their wealth in an address where people can see how much they have. And you can go back to a Nick Szabo tweet, actually, where he says that gold was used not only as a store of value, but it was also a display of wealth. There is something that he didn't add to that tweet, though, that such a display of wealth required immense amount of security and power and position already in the society. It was not for everyday common man to do that kind of display of wealth. And this is the space that Monero has the best leg on, and he knows it. Nick is also a Monero fan. He may not speak too much about it, but he knows this. I don't know. There are many other use cases I can think of, probably not best discussed, that Monero is a far better solution than BTC.
Totally agree with your points there. I mean, I'd rather store my wealth, in a black box than a glass case where everybody can see how much I have. I mean, if you talk to anybody here in Guatemala, if you approach somebody who really knew nothing about cryptocurrency and you started explaining the concepts and said, all right, you have two choices. I can send you this one thing where potentially your neighbors are going to, I'm going to send you $10,000 worth of this thing. and potentially your neighbors are going to be able to see it and know whenever you transact it, know how much you have, and see whenever it's being transacted. Or I could give you this other form of $10,000 where nobody will know that I sent it to you, and when you use it, nobody's going to see anything to or how much. Which would you rather have? Anybody here, common sense, would take option B for all those reasons you're talking about, which is security, because they'll feel safer knowing that if they hold wealth that nobody is aware of, and then when they use it, nobody's aware of, that it's just more secure. That's basic common sense to me. Is there any other topics you guys want to talk about?
There's a person here that
I really wanted to talk about the layer 2 solutions as well. Are you guys aware about the L2 solutions that is being proposed in various other transparent blockchains? This is they're like making a silent advertisement for Monero, in my opinion. Those use cases are fun. Hello?
Yeah,
we can
can you just repeat your point?
No, I was just going to ask the audience here and you guys too, like, are you aware of the L2 solutions that is making the rounds these days, right? A lot of other privacy related enhancements in Bitcoin or, Ethereum, which I don't really like, or some of these other protocols running out there. They're talking about privacy a lot, right? They're trying to build mechanisms to make at least the transactions more private. So I really think those are band-aid solutions. They're trying to keep people still locked in into the beliefs and the cult. Right, that's really not. That's a way to enhance privacy for sure, and that's what If you want to transact in BTC, what you can do is at least try to hide how much you're sending or where you're sending it to. Right? It does not make it fungible, but it does provide a layer of privacy. But at least, in my opinion, these are advertisements for Monero. People are getting more and more aware that privacy needs to be there, and common sense. Common sense-wise, I think there is a huge audience out there. They may not be speaking so much about Monero or coming up front saying, "Hey, we like this." It seems like for now everybody is riding waves, and that is okay too. But I think the concept of Monero and what it provides is more known than what we hear. Like this video call, for example, this episode, we have just a few members here, right? It could easily be hundreds of members, but I think most people don't want to associate in some way, or they don't want to be public or acknowledging that they are aware of Monero, because all these privacy talk points off late, right? We have Signal getting a lot of members, people in general becoming aware of privacy and how important it is.
Yeah, totally. I think those are all indications of the need for privacy, people becoming aware of the fact that it is a critical thing that needs to be solved for Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in general. And then I think that what will ultimately happen is they'll find their way towards Monero, and they'll become aware of the fact that privacy isn't something you can just bolt on, but needs to be part of the core technology. It can't be opt-in. It needs to be default. And I don't think you can instead put a Band-Aid over it and solve it that way. It's just like any other component of the technology itself. You can't bolt on decentralization, right? It needs to be built into the core.
Right.
You can't bolt on censorship resistance. So privacy, fungibility is one of these kernel things that needs to be part of the technology. It can't be bolted on. It needs to be literally the technology itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Great point. So how long have you guys been in Monero?
How long what?
How long have you guys known or been in Monero?
Well, I guess being Monero people, we don't like to give out exact time.
No,
But yeah,
that's fine. That's fine.
we've it's been years. It's been years. I started off as a Bitcoin guy, and I slowly, I was a maxi at some point. In the early days when I really understood and first understood Bitcoin, I got extremely excited about it. But I realized it was flawed, and that it needed to be fungible, and for all these reasons we're saying, you just can't bolt it on. And that's when I transitioned into Monero. And at some point, I consciously made the decision to kind of move completely into Monero when I realized that ultimately this problem can't be solved in Bitcoin for a few reasons, I think. And that's when I decided that I was more interested in the idealism behind cryptocurrency and not just number go up. And I was okay with the fact that number may not go up as fast, but realizing that ultimately the cream will rise to the top, and I'm willing to ride it out and be powered by my idealism and belief in the liberating concepts or that come with digital cash and digital gold, and let that be my fuel as opposed to number go up, and realize at some point the number eventually will go up when the masses realize that there's real value here. So that's, without answering your question, that's the answer to my.
No, that's good. I don't need to know specifically when. I was just curious, but yeah, thank you. Yeah, I had a similar story too. So, do you guys remember when Bitcoin was released, and the altcoin space was really all over the place, and out of nowhere, Bitcoin came, and thankful for today actually started that thread that he actually proposed that he was going to launch Monero, and most of us who had by that time seen the ring signature white paper by Saberhagen, I guess, whatever he goes by, that was pretty cool. I mean, so most of us were hoping that a large portion of the altcoin space would notice it, but by that time, the space was so fragmented. People were so far up their own, trying to justify their beliefs in whatever altcoins they were either believing in totally, or a lot of them were actually pumping and dumping. And Dash was a big thing then. What it was, it used to go by dark coin back then. The coin that Evan Duffel, I think he started it, and there was another scam coin at that time in the privacy space called Xcoin. I forget who had launched it. What was his name? I think Dan was his first name. But these two coins had already kind of created a path for the privacy side of things. And when Bitcoin was released, we saw how much it was pre-mined, and a lot of us knew right then that Monero, or what has become Monero today, would really have a say in the world.
Yeah, no, I totally. That was a good little history there. We had Crypto Zoidberg on. I don't know if you saw that episode.
No, I did not. Wow, when was this? I have worked with him. He doesn't know me, but I've worked with him.
3 weeks ago? 2 or 3 weeks ago.
You said you worked with him?
I have worked in a different capacity with him. He doesn't know who I am, but I help with some of the white paper stuff.
Oh, really?
Yes. Yeah.
Anything else you could tell us? It sounds like you're pretty old school here, man. So what What
I
involvement have you
have
had in
been
the
out
space?
of. I just have been out of the space for a long time. I took a long break myself.
Okay.
Cannot go over the reasons why, I guess. But yeah, since the very initial stages, I was following this, and there were a lot of other Bitcoin talkers at that time who are no longer very active in the Monero space. But I know for a fact that they're not going anywhere. They're just not coming out as much.
Mm-hmm. So what is your, and we'll leave it with this because we've been on almost 2 hours.
Yeah.
This is our last day in Guatemala, so we want to run
Oh,
around.
wow.
So my battery is gonna die.
And also
soon.
but if you could maybe leave us with some of your insight into how you view Monero now, Monero versus Bitcoin, and where you see us going, and how you overall view the space. Since you've been so old school, you were there for the early days. What's your thoughts now on Monero versus the early days and now, and where we're headed likely?
Obviously headed in a great direction. If you look at all the social media presence these days, the subreddit, the Twitter guys, you guys doing your thing on YouTube. I'm very happy to see how important this thing has become for everybody, and the merchant adoption. I see that increasing. I see Bitcoin faster than Monero in that space, though, because of the already existing resources of the maxis, right? Roger Ver is a great guy, in my opinion. Somebody like that in Monero would have put Monero today in the 40 billion or 400 billion market cap. What really to back Monero like that, with heavy pockets, as well as the libertarians. Now, everybody has the stance, they may not necessarily have the pockets. That is the big difference in how I see BCH expanding in terms of adoption at a faster rate than Monero. But it is going to catch up. Again, see, a model has been set that price makes something very attractive. And it's not a new model. It's one of the most old school models, right? It's been known for a very long time, not only just, in fancy marketing schemes of the last 40, 50 years. Price makes things attractive. And you never know, there could be an event where, just suddenly out of nowhere, the supply, the liquid supply of Monero gets absorbed very quickly. And all of a sudden, those who are in the sidelines then will make their stance and get on board. But ultimately, though, what matters is people believing it, and the merchants and dudes adopting it. That should be the goal. Sidelines, yes. Some price action is also very important to go with it. It's just natural cause and effect.
Do you think we'll see any events that will move people over from Bitcoin to Monero?
Yeah, that's the very wrong audience to target, in my opinion. I think maxis have made it very clear that they don't hate Monero, right? They are in the phase where they'd rather not even talk about it. They'd rather not even acknowledge when you say something, right? Because they know, at the end of the day, they know what you're saying technically or ideologically, psychologically, all of that makes sense. But from their perspective, they wish you were on board with them, that, hey, price is the most important, really. And that Once a channel is made for all of the fiat to get on board with BTC, then BTC can decide where to allocate resources. Now, there would have been much more belief in that statement had there been some sort of an realistic action from the maxis towards money flowing in the Monero ecosystem, but I don't think they want to do that at this time. They clearly see that as an obstacle, in my opinion. I don't know why. And again, this is like an overall picture. Not everybody who is a maxi has this viewpoint, but overall, that may be the reasoning why we don't see the flow as much. So what the ramps that Monero should be looking at is from fiat directly, because the Monero to Bitcoin to fiat, the fiat to Bitcoin is not that liquid, in my opinion, or at least by this time, it should have been far higher, in my opinion. So that's not happening. So they may have decided to keep it on the low. That's why we see a lot of shorts in the markets, right? And there is a big belief that once the atomic swaps are in place, that it could actually make it could gain traction. The Bitcoin to Monero transition can take traction, but I am not clear. I have a more realistic view of that, or it's not rosy picture in my mind at this time. It can change, but that's how I view it at this time.
Okay. Well, amazing insights, and we love hearing from people that are old school in the space. You obviously have a nice holistic view of everything. What could we call you? What is your name? What are you going by?
Monero fan.
Monero fan, okay.
I have no name.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, please join us again. Let me know. Maybe you want to do a Monero Talk episode with me one day if you want to talk more deeply about some of these things, or any topic in particular. Maybe we could have you on, interview you. You could be anonymous if you'd like.
I could talk to you offline if you want to.
Okay.
I'd rather not be online. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, send me an email. Or
I have a day job. I have a lot of other things, just like you guys do.
I hear you. Okay.
Yeah.
Send me an email or direct message me on Twitter or whatever is the best means for you to stay anonymous.
Okay.
I think we're gonna call it a day.
Yeah.
I saw
batteries.
Who's JT?
I don't know, JT. You want to quickly say hello?
Is he on there?
Hello? I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah, maybe I guess next time. Batteries.
Yeah, we're gonna call it just because we got to get a lot of things done here before we leave. Thank you everybody for joining us. I hope you enjoyed the conversation with the macadamia farm owners. We're gonna try to continue that once we hang up here. See if we could potentially add the macadamia oil.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll, I guess, see you guys next week.
See you next time. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. Talk to you guys soon. Bye.
Thank you guys. Have fun.
Thanks everybody.
Take care.
Bye. Yeah. Keep it up with the morning calls.